Good morning, Bob. Jeff Hammond. Good morning. Good afternoon. It's so dark here. I'm already getting confused what time it is. It's been a long day. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, Jeff. Good afternoon, and thanks for all this week of really interesting commentary.
Well, the thing is, my friend, you have. We were talking before you came on. What you have taken on here in the last couple of years has been pretty phenomenal. And you've been kind of like the standard bearer. You've been the guy who's basically had the flag saying, "Follow me, boys, and let's go grassroots racing." And you made grassroots racing and a lot of associations stronger. Would you care to share with why you do this and what is your long-term plan?
Well, I think you're right. We do think a lot of grassroots racing. We're fortunate throughout, our whole career to have friends in the business and the different track promoters at speedways. And we just feel that grassroots racing has such a following, such a need for the professionalism that the higher leagues bring, that was a niche that we could fill and work at and bring the professionalism to this level of racing. And it's just been a great place for me to be at, working with so many different sanctioning bodies, different types of racers, whether it's asphalt, dirt, monster trucks, whatever it is. We've had the fortunate ability to work with them. ARCA has been a great platform for us, working with Ron Drager all these years in USAC and now doing some NASCAR truck races. So again, I just think it's a great platform right below the major leagues that really fills a big demand.
Speaking of demand, your organization, what called Track Enterprise.
Yes.
And, when we think about that, do you seek out these series or do they seek you out? Because I know you put some mergers together and keep, adding to your, I guess you say the teams or the organizations that you manage.
Right. And I think it's a mixture, a hybrid of Track Enterprises originally was a race event promoter. So we would own facilities, lease facilities out, and then partner with these sanctioning bodies to bring their show to town. And the more we worked with, the more relationships we built. And some of this pavement late model is where we're at right now, working on joining these sanctioning bodies together. There seemed to be a little bit of a need of organization and commonplace throughout the United States, and especially here from the South to the Midwest. So we got really heavily involved in that. Probably the starting off point was us doing the car races at the Nashville Fairgrounds and really getting a good handle on this pavement late model racing. It seems now, again, Dale Jr. was in one a couple times this year now, and it just seems to be really a growing, popular place that needed a little bit of direction, and hopefully we can help with that and give it both regional, local direction, and now we're starting a national organization.
Okay, with that being said, what all do you bring to the table when you say you give this organization? Does that include, the parameters as far as the what we're going to race, as far as wheelbase cars, tires, engines, those kinds of things that encompass all of that, or you just bring structure as far as just running a race?
Yeah, no. When we're involved with a sanctioning body, it brings all the above, from scheduling the events to the rules package. That there's a good rule package in place, has been for years, back to the days of ASA. All Pro, and some of those where a lot of the NASCAR guys, honed their skills and came up through. So it kind of had a period of time there. It seems to maybe not had a national flavor to it. So when we try to work with these organizations, own them, work with them, the rules package is a big thing, cost containment and safety for the teams. And when we get the cars built, for instance, and the tires and the fuel and all the engine parts and the drivetrain, then again, the other aspect of that is going to these racetrack promoters and getting a schedule for these sanctioning bodies to go to. Again, no different than the NFL, NBA, obviously NASCAR puts their schedule out. So that's a big factor. Now, in the year 2022 and 3 where we're at now, TV packages are a big thing, sponsorships. And then again, we can't ever forget the fans. So we have to address the fans, whether it be social media, whether it be, the excitement of coming to their town for the event, things of that nature.
Hey,
So
you mentioned, go ahead.
no, I
Sorry.
guess to answer your question, it is all the pieces to put together this puzzle.
You mentioned the television. It seems to me that the fact that now that it seems like short track or grassroots racing has got a way to get their product out there and showcase it. And I've noticed that it seems like that has been a driving force this year. I mean, I really have noticed this year. You get up and look on Twitter, and all of a sudden you see highlights from an event that was run on Wednesday night or Thursday night or Friday night, and you get in the excitement of what the racing was, but you're also exposing some of these drivers to where all of a sudden they become kind of a household name. We not everybody knows Tom Gregory, but if Kyle Larson or Dale Earnhardt Jr. shows up, everybody knows that. But with the TV package, it seems like these other folks are now getting exposed to that. Would you agree?
I would totally agree. And I think that's really going to be the future of our, again, platform of grassroots racing, is the ability to give the drivers and the teams and the events such notoriety and such visibility out across the United States and really across the world. Really probably took off 3 to 5 years ago with the advent and the technology advantages of streaming television, where in the old days it was a buffering type thing on your computer, your iPad, or your laptop you got to watch. And technology got that to where not only did the home quality get better to where that could be on your television set on the wall, flat screens and what have you, the technology of the production got so much better. I mean, we have tickers now, we have replays, we have good commentators. Ability with streaming has really helped the whole platform of grassroots racing. And again, then we still have the ability to do some linear television also.
With that being said, the way you've got your company set up, how many times do the series that you have, do you do crossover? Do you keep them independent, like just keep them regional, or do you cross them over and bring them into someone else's region?
So we have in the pavement late model area right now, we have 4 scenarios set up. We have a southern area set up in a region, Southern Super Series. We have a Midwest CRA, and we have a North ARCA Midwest Tour. And now we are developing a national series that will cross over into all 3 of those regions. So we'll do all the above. We'll stay in our regions in the regional series, and then when the national series comes, it'll be in each region.
So where do you call your home base, your home track? Where do you go?
My home base is in central Illinois, in a little town called Macon, Illinois, a little Macon Speedway that co-owned with Ken Schrader, Kenny Wallace, and Tony Stewart, a little 5th Mile Dirt. So offices is there still. It's easy. It's right south of Chicago, north of St. Louis, west of Indianapolis, right in the middle of the country. We can fly anywhere or drive anywhere from that location. So it works really well for us. Again, I'm in Pensacola, Florida as we speak now for the Snowball Derby going to happen. We're going to a promoter's workshop in Reno Wednesday, Thursday, and then back for the Derby this weekend. So always active. Of course, PRI's next weekend. So a lot going on in our industry.
Well, I'm going to ask you one question. Why didn't you bring Kenny Wallace with you this afternoon?
Well, you would take up too much time talking. He wouldn't give us any time.
How is he to work with? I mean, I know he's very passionate about his dirt modified, and he has a passion for short track racing, which I thought this past year was going to be his final deal, but I don't think he wants to give it up yet because he had such an unbelievable season. But he is. I've known Kenny for so long, and sometimes when I look at him and think of him as being a businessman, it doesn't jump out at you on the get-go. But when you get around him, you really understand. He does understand the nuts and bolts and understands the importance of protocol and organizing everything.
I think 2 things about Kenny Wallace that probably didn't jump out when he first started with dirt racing on the dirt is that he would take to that very well. And he's become a very top dirt car racer, whether it's in a late model or a modified that he prefers. But you're exactly right. And his demeanor and his fun that he has all the time, there is definitely a business side to him. And the promotion side of it, the track ownership. When he goes to other racetracks, now they critique the track that they're at. Another one like this is Ken Schrader. I mean, he's been doing it forever, and just really good to work with. Tony Stewart's another similar one. I couldn't have asked for better friends and better partners to work with over these years of the knowledge and the business side that they have, that they carry over from their NASCAR days too, or before they started NASCAR, they were some low dollar guys trying to make it. And when they made it, they didn't forget where they came from. And then when they came back to dirt racing, they brought all that experience and knowledge with them. And I just think it's helped every local racer and every promoter that these guys have been a really vocal point for our type of racing. And now Kyle Larson's doing the same thing.
Yeah, when you mentioned Tony Stewart, I can't help but think about the fact of the passion he has, even leads to the point of I have been told this. I've watched him. I hear a lot of comments about it. He's quite an aficionado when it comes to prepping racetracks and getting them packed in and run in like they need to give you, a great racing surface.
Yeah, he is. And I think, again, that came from his racing for so many years on dirt and enjoying it. And then he started watching how different people were preparing the dirt. He started teaching himself and getting guidance from other people, and became really good at seeing how the moisture and the temperatures and things like that of the dirt surfaces. And he became very good at doing that. And I think he enjoys doing it. So that's a big plus in all of our grassroots racing. We know at the higher levels they enjoy it, but I believe at the grassroots platform, a little sales pitch here, that every one of us enjoys what we're doing. From those guys coming back down and racing, they just enjoy getting behind the wheel and driving. They enjoy talking to the promoter and learning the business. They enjoy the fans that are there, and they enjoy even looking at the dirt surface. So I think that's a big plus in the genre that I've kind of put myself in, is that this is all about enjoyment, all about having fun. And, there is some prize money there. There is a business side of it for all of us, but it still comes down to the relationships, bringing the families, and enjoying it.
Well, you finished 2022. It looks like extremely strong, a lot of synergy and a lot of stuff going in the right direction as you move into 2023. During the off season, what's your biggest challenges right now to get ready for 2023?
Well, again, the off season really, there's not much of an off season anymore. So we literally start working on 23 schedules in late summer. The rules packages are just about done. Probably we have PRI in Indianapolis next week for like a goal to have all that out. We'll finish up some of our TV schedules, or ship, processes of going and beating on doors and selling our goods, whether it be an event, a series, helping somebody with a car sponsor. So all that happens over the winter months. Right now, as we speak, we're really trying to finish up these regional series and our national series schedule so we can get that out to the fans and the teams, and then we can go forward with 2023.
Now, you said something that caught my attention, and that is you help with car sponsorship. So if you're an owner or you're a driver and you're looking to try to improve the money necessary to race, you're willing to help them or give them guidance in that direction?
We do. We like to give them guidance. We like to introduce one of our relationships that might be interested in a sponsorship on the side of a race car. And, as we grow as a company, we would follow in NASCAR steps in providing the racers with more demographics and more detail that they can take to a sponsor. How many eyeballs are in the stands? How many people are watching on TV? Can we assist these race car drivers to go to their business with a car display or maybe an autograph session, a radio remote? We really find that going to the small towns and even the mid-size markets really appreciate hands-on, interactive things like that. Radio interviews, again, autograph sessions. We see the younger generation really take to that and want to go out to the racetrack for this event.
You know, we've talked about the growth of the grassroots racing. Have you got numbers that give you some kind of way when you're talking to a sponsor, you're talking to a television company about, you know, why you need to be here and be at this race? Do you have something to kind of fall back on? Because I know everybody talked about how everything dropped off during COVID and it's making a resurgence. But over the last two seasons, how much is the crowd participation up?
Yeah, you know, we do have those numbers. We obviously track the grandstand numbers very closely. Sometimes television is a little more private, and they don't like to give the numbers up as much as we like, especially when it's in a pay-per-view situation through some of the streaming. But we do have numbers to share with these sponsors and these drivers, and that seems to benefit them. I remember years ago, and we were going on this show today, and I thought about this. I need to look it up. I think Goodyear used to do a statistics of how many people went to each NASCAR level, how many went to the World of Outlaws, how many went to some grassroots tracks. And it always amazed me that if you add up all the grassroots tracks, it was almost as many people going there or more than were going to the NASCAR events. Now, again, that's in a combination, but it just really goes to how many people go to these 900 plus racetracks around the United States. Very loyal, as NASCAR has always said, but our fans are very loyal to our sponsors and our race drivers and teams.
Well, I mean, I think that, you know, we both can agree if you've got a local racetrack, that's an advantage on you. You know, you don't want to have to get in your car and go 3.5, 4 hours or further to go to a NASCAR race. You know, if you want to see something there. I mean, I think that, you know, that's, but you've got to give them something worth going to and spending their hard earned dollars on. And that goes back to the show itself. It's got to be entertaining. It's got to be competitive. And at the same time, the amenities have got to be where you're, as far as a family, that, you know, you feel okay taking your family to a track.
Yeah, that's one thing we really haven't touched on yet. You know, all the aspects of this grassroots racing, and the amenities are a big part. You know, 30 years ago, the racing kind of maybe had a black eye, or, you know, not up to scale. And society has forced us to upgrade these facilities with restrooms, with concessions, parking, lighting, things like that. Cleanliness, very important. Humpy Wheeler was a good one. And when we used to go to some, when I was younger, we'd go to some racing workshops and what have you, and they would indicate go to Disneyland and you know, go through that school. Things of that nature really help the grassroots racing promoter. Money, you know, capital development funds are always a little bit of an issue for a smaller mom and pop owner of a racetrack, but we've really seen a big improvement on people fixing their facilities up. Again, society has kind of driven this. And, you know, again, we always watch what NASCAR is doing and the other professional sports, and we like to follow through. And that's really shown over the last several years. And I think that's helped our grassroots popularity, is that the families come and they feel safe and the restrooms are clean, and on down the 101 list.
Everybody knows who you are. Everybody understands what your company it does, you know, as far as grassroots racing is concerned. How excited have you got to be about what's been, you know, it's in the works up at Nashville Speedway, you know, the fairgrounds? I mean, you know, it's been out that, you know, this thing, a lot like North Wilkesboro, it's going to get some improvements that are definitely going to make a big difference at that racetrack.
Yeah, it really is. And we were fortunate. We took our racing organization, CRA and Southern Super Series to North Wilkesboro last year and raced there. So we got a little bit of flavor of that. We've worked with the people at SMI a lot, and Jerry Caldwell and his people at Bristol closely at Nashville for several years now. And as we've been doing the weekly shows, we call them, and the All-American 400, the SRX, we have, it'll be a great addition to have new improvements there. The excitement of what's going on will just benefit everyone from, again, a great concept of mixing the NASCAR level with the grassroots, with the weekly. So with the quarter mile guys there, and the excitement of bringing the All-American 400 with our late models. And then, oh, by the way, now we get to have NASCAR, you know, possibly Cup trucks and all that there. So it's a great mix of kind of what we're doing in Track Enterprises. We're taking the NASCAR trucks to Milwaukee again this year. So we really feel fortunate to be able to work with these grand old facilities, and it's a great honor to be able to do that.
Bob, do you think that the new racer is finally starting to understand why these older racetracks have a value? Because I mean, for a long time, it's almost like the younger generation, they needed to have all the bells and whistles. But now, my involvement with North Wilkesboro and the revival we did up there, it just seems like not only the local folks, but no matter where I go and people that I talk to around the country, they talk about that. They talk about Nashville Fairgrounds, from up north, up there, in Wisconsin area. These tracks mean something. I mean, they do mean something. And it's almost like now the younger generation is taking time to understand the history that is there and why we need to go back there.
I do think they understand that. And I think kudos to you, who we mentioned earlier, Kenny, Tony, but, even Darrell Waltrip and Michael and all you guys that are Dale Jr. and Kevin, everybody that's given support is also helping this cause. And again, I would be remiss not to thank you and everybody else for also recognizing these tracks and recognizing the grassroots level and what we used to have and how we can mix the brand new shiny facilities with these older history. So again, I think everybody's involvement in that is what's paying off and what's having everybody else, recognize it and really enjoy it. So as long as that continues the path it's going, I think it's a bright future for everybody involved.
Speaking of that bright future, we've kind of touched on 2023. You got your schedules coming out and you're making your plans, but anybody that's in the racing industry, they understand that you may look backward for about, 30 seconds on what happened in the past, but you're looking forward. But you're not just looking forward to the next season. You're looking 1, 2, sometimes 3 seasons down where you want to get to. So can you share anything with us about the future and the direction you're trying to work toward?
Well, I don't know if there's anything I can share because even though we look down the road that far, things don't move that fast. This feels like a big ship, and we just keep steering it in the right direction, and it takes a little bit longer, but we have goals. And I think everything we do, from the rules to the facilities we pick, to the upgrades we do at facilities, to the long-term contracts we do at facilities, are all geared towards, as you said, 3 to 5 years out. Even in 10 years, we'd like to see some big things. But to be honest with you, we'll go back to technology a little bit. Television and just the technology changes so quickly. And I think that's a positive. We're going to use it as a positive, but we also have to be nimble enough to move with that. So we work really hard on, 12 to 24 months out, and then our eye on 3 years out. So, yeah.
Hey, we got Scott Kosak. Hope I got that right, Scott. But he says grassroots racing is struggling with competing entertainment options in more and more places. You got other things you can do. So what is Track Enterprises? And I think you answered this question earlier, but let's give them another shot here. The Track Enterprise is doing to help your sanctions and your tracks bring more race fans to them beyond those fans who are already local and loyal.
Well, I think that's a very, multiple answer question. And I think that's what it takes. I think the promoter or the racing organization has to adapt to every situation, even scheduling. You don't want to go into a community and schedule on top of the 50-year-old annual street festival downtown. You have to be careful of that. You have to really build these new stars. As we all know, we can't rest on our history and our laurels, but we can sure get ideas of what happened when we had so many stars that were household names. People stood in long line for autographs. They were stars. There's no reason we don't continue that. And again, I think the belief of going into event and or a venue, and really believing and having our staff and our team, drivers and all, believe that this is as important as it gets, and that we believe every person in that community should treat it that way and come to get their one shot or two shots at this big race of the year. That being said, I still call that some grassroots racing. Now, down to what Scott might have been talking about, it would be some weekly things. They're
Right.
difficult too, but not much different. A weekly promoter needs to build his audience, build his foundation, have his street stock racers and his four-cylinder racers just as important as his regional racers that come in, and have their fans behind those people. You know, have community and the civic groups. So again, very tough to answer that question with a one or two answers. But again, I want him to understand that things are very positive out there, even though we realize all the challenges.
Well, Scott said he really appreciated your insight, Bob, and I have enjoyed it immensely. I know I see Francis and Judy sitting here, so I guess our time has expired. We want you to stick around a second or two more. But again, appreciate everything you're doing out there in the trenches, getting this grassroots stuff, keeping it going and getting it better than what it was a year ago.
Well, again, there's some great people here, and we're lucky to have everybody working in the same direction. And anybody needs anything from us, always feel free to look at trackenterprise.com or send us a message.
Registering on EPARTRADE is easy. To start, click on the Join for Free button on the homepage. First, search your company to see if it's already in our database. If you see your company on the list, click on it to select it. Then, choose Claim Company if you are one of the decision makers, an owner, marketing person, or main company contact. Or choose Join Company if you are an employee, and press Continue. If you couldn't find your company in our database, select Register a New Company. On the following page, fill out your name, email, phone number, job title, and choose a secure password. If you chose Register a New Company, you'll need to choose your business type. Select Supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose Racing Business if you're looking to source new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose Race Team if you own or are a member of a professional race team. Then, enter your company name. Please provide a website, Facebook page, or LinkedIn if you have one, and choose to either claim or join the company. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Finally, click Register Now and your registration will be submitted for approval. An email will be sent to your inbox. Please confirm your email address and you will be approved shortly. Welcome to EPARTRADE.